John Abraham in Pathan, taking his helmet off, and you're John Abraham in a suit.
Right.
They're
Poles
totally
apart.
different. They're
Yeah.
poles apart. But that's the beauty about cinema.
Right.
That's your show, Magic with Gigi.
No John Abraham hero की entry.
This country is about Big Boss. When it was in my control, also I released on wrong dates. Demonetization day, one film on the 26/7 floods day, one film on the second wave of COVID, one film 1 week after RRR. Steven Spielberg said, "You're such a wonderful actor because of your subtleties." Now, at the same time, when he said that, in India, my subtlety seemed like it was underacting. I was hammered every day. So,
How did you take that at that point? Navroz Mubarak celebrate
thank
kairu?
you. Yeah. Oh my God, you speak. Eniki chudu chamano.
What did that mean?
You're the
Yes.
first person, yeah?
Hello and welcome to Tellychakkar. I'm Gayatri Gauri and you are watching Magic with Gigi. Today we have a very special guest and I would like to introduce him as a man in a suit. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Gayatri.
Thank you very much for your time. I know it's very rarely that you give interviews and you have given very few interviews this time also.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. You know, I just wanted to share something with you. Yesterday I saw your movie. So your movie is now crossed 2 weekends. And when I was buying a ticket, I asked the guy at the window, you know, what is the response to this movie? So he said, "Ma'am, बहुत अच्छी movie चल रही है." और and without me prompting him, nothing, huh? He just said, "John Abraham sir ने बहुत अच्छा काम किया है." So
Wow.
that itself excited me. I said, okay, now I am ready to, like, you know, sit through the 2.5 hours.
Wow.
So that I just wanted to give you a small feedback from somebody who is
Thank
right
you.
there.
Thank you. That's honestly, Gayatri, for me, feedback like that is like my biggest reward. So thank you for watching it. And thanks to that guy who gave me that. Thank you, that guy, wherever he is, for the
Yeah,
sweet
I
feedback.
wish I had asked his
Yeah.
name. So, Infinity Mall, guy at the window. So, coming back to your film, The Diplomat,
Gee.
the first thing that I did notice, of course, everyone notices that you know, you are known John Abraham with the man with the biceps, but now it's the man in the suit, as you yourself have said once.
Correct. Yeah.
But in this case, you know, your last entry that has stayed with me, so-called making an entry, hero ki entry wala film mein,
Right.
was in Pathan. When, of course, you have to be taking off your helmet, and
Yeah.
I think that was the entry scene, right? When you meet Shah Rukh, and Shah Rukh is all in the
Yeah,
crash.
correct,
and
correct. Oh, yeah, correct, yeah.
The reverse.
Yeah, yeah.
But what a scene that was, of course, not the entry, but the scene that followed, the way you
Yeah.
spoke, and you spoke about Bharat Ma in those few dialogues. Okay?
Correct.
And the comparison, of course, between you and Shah Rukh's character and how you saw Bharat Ma.
Correct.
In this movie, also it is about Bharat Ma, but in a very subtle way.
Correct.
Very subtle way. So, what draws you to such subjects?
Honestly, you know, without giving you a complicated answer,
Yeah.
Gayatri, I fell in love with the script when I read it. And because I fell in love with it, I called the gentleman who gave me the script, met the director. I met Shivam Nair, wonderful man, very quiet, shy, and we just hit it off and we decided to do the film. But of course, somewhere down the line, as much as, I don't know, maybe it's my subconscious level, there is this love for my country that I have that has to come out in different ways. तो पठान में जो मेरा कैरेक्टर था ना उस टाइम पे, it was मेरा दिल तोड़ दिया उसने, तेरा भी तोड़ देगी, I tell him. नाम क्या उसका? भारत माँ. Means I'm a spurned lover, and my love for my country broke my heart.
Yes.
In this, of course, that's chalk and this is cheese.
Yes.
Completely different. Here,
Yes.
I'm a diplomat. I look out for my country, but in a very sophisticated manner, in a very diplomatic manner.
Correct.
And of course, I had to play the role very differently. So If you can
Yes.
put it in your mind and just do a split screen and imagine John Abraham in Pathan taking his helmet off and you're John Abraham in a
Right.
suit,
Right.
they're
Poles
totally
apart.
different. They're
Yeah.
poles apart. But that's the beauty about cinema.
Right.
That's your show,
Yeah.
Magic with Gigi.
Right.
That's the magic of cinema.
Right.
And Siddharth Anand, who was my director in Pathan, what a wonderful director and what a great job he did to present me in a certain way.
Yes.
Similarly, Shivam Nair in The Diplomat, I think superlative director, presented me in such a beautiful way as a diplomat, and they both stand out in their own ways.
Yeah, absolutely, they stand out, So if we were to compare a little bit more, the previous one in Pathan reminded me a little bit of the role that Javier played in James Bond movie
Oh my
Skyfall.
God. My God, so
I know.
amazing you're saying that. Because that was a
It was.
reference that was
Yeah, you must
used
have
a
got
lot.
that
Correct?
reference,
You're the
yes.
first person, yeah?
Yeah, but at the same time, you made it your own. It
Correct.
wasn't what we had seen before
Yeah.
in that movie. And then working with Shahrukh, antagonist, yet there's a chemistry, fantastic chemistry. And then, so a movie like that, a big buck movie, big scale, and
Yeah.
of course you coming out of that swimming pool, all the
Yeah.
thing that John Abraham is known for.
Yeah.
But John Abraham is also known for something else, which you have very meticulously, kind of paved that right from Kabul Express days to
Madras
today.
Cafe,
Madras
to Parmanu,
Cafe,
to this
yes,
now, yeah.
Absolutely. It seems, was it planned? So here, as it is, your first entry, which I noticed was that you just opened the door, very quietly walk to the girl and have that stern, firm look on your face and slightly suspicious, and you talk to her. No John Abraham hero ki entry, just J.B. Singh.
Correct.
Yeah.
You forget John Abraham from that frame and you think of J.P.
Right.
Singh.
What effort did it take you to get yourself out of the way?
Good question. I actually, to give credit, of course, I first give credit to my director. Your director has to put you in that zone.
Yeah.
Writing bhi bahut important hai.
Yes, Ritesh Shah wrote.
Ritesh Shah wrote it. You're a writer, you've written scripts, you will respect that process. And what people don't know, because we're speaking now, and you spoke to me just before this interview, and you said, I love the way you maintain the honesty of that script, and you didn't deviate from it.
Right.
You as in all of us, you
Yes.
know. So I would give credit to my writer. Not the least, but the most important also was I did a lot of workshops with Saurabh Sachdev before the film. I did workshops with my cast, but I wasn't allowed to meet Uzma, Sadia, before that shot, because my director consciously kept Sadia away from me and me away from Sadia. Because the first time we meet in the scene that you saw was actually the first time we saw each other. Which is why you get a lot of honesty in the performances when I'm looking at her and she's crying. And I didn't speak to her at all. I didn't even see her before that scene. So I would give credit to innumerable things, and also my knowledge of whatever little I knew about the subject before we actually went into shoot.
So you are going back to the honesty in the script. Did you know when you were the subject was narrated to you, and you of course have read the script also?
Correct.
You must have noticed that the story is primarily about this lady Uzma.
Correct.
And not so much about you, but your role, very important role, your character's role in getting her back to India. Did it cross your mind that this is her story, not my story? Why should I do this? What attracts me to this film?
So I think the director, Shivam Nair, he knew it was Uzma's story.
Yeah.
But for him, what played in his mind, what was more important for him in his mind was, who was this guy who actually got her back? Uska story kya hai? I want to know his story. So when Uzma first came back from Pakistan, Shivam Nair met Uzma.
Yeah.
But Shivam Nair also met J.P. Singh. And he said, I find this character really interesting. And there is something about this guy that's really special, because he's patriotic. He's not jingoistic. He's very well spoken. He's quiet. He smiles. But when he speaks, he makes sense. So I really think that as much as it is a story about Uzma,
Yes.
it is really the story about this diplomat who got her back with the help of Sushma ji.
Yeah.
which is why this film is called The Diplomat.
Yes.
So I didn't really think whether it was Uzma's story or whether it was a Diplomat story. For me, it was a good story. And I thought it had to be told.
Yes, of course. And I'm glad that you did.
Thank you.
Because it's slowly, and steadily by word of mouth,
Yeah.
it's getting the viewership that
Absolutely.
it deserves to.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and it takes courage, John, to make such a movie and get it released during such a time when the Chavas or the
Yeah.
Pushpa 2s are,
Yeah.
are being popular and are the blockbusters
Yeah.
so-called. What do you go through when you think about these things, about the numbers?
So the best thing is I don't think about the other films. Simple. I don't think about numbers. I only
As a
think
producer?
As a producer, I only think about. To be very honest, I only think about how good my product is. So even if you do an interview with my director, he'll only say that John and I were only interested in what our product gave us. So we were concerned about our background music. We were concerned about our editing. We never really thought, okay, this film is doing that much business, that film is doing that much business. It didn't matter to us. On the contrary, when we were ready to release, we didn't have a budget, a marketing budget. So Dinu Vijayan, the producer of Chava, was kind enough to attach a teaser to that film, which is why when you see the film, we've given him a special thanks in the film. So honestly, when I'm a producer and I'm an actor presenting a film, I don't think about other films and their numbers. It's like you're sitting in your house. Why would you think about what's happening in your neighbor's house?
Absolutely.
Apna chula jalna chahiye na.
Absolutely.
You have to
Yeah.
think about what's happening in your house. Unfortunately, this country is about Big Boss. We're always concerned, and you are what you see.
Yeah.
So this country is always concerned about what's happening in the other person's house.
Right.
I am concerned about what's happening in my house. I'm concerned about my film.
Yeah.
And that's why we concentrated on our product.
Yeah.
And, we've got a superlative product, and we're very proud of it.
Since you were talking about marketing, how important is marketing in today's world of a movie?
Good marketing is, so I'll give you an example. There's an advertising agency and a gentleman called Ogilvy.
Yeah,
Ogilvy
you were
and
part
Mathur.
of an ad. Yeah.
Correct. So Ogilvy once said that 50% of what you spend on marketing is waste. The problem is you don't know what 50%. So what I say is effective marketing is important. You have to know what you really need to market. You have to really understand how you need to position your film. Diplomat is not a film where I could have gone, like I said earlier, to college festivals. I could not have gone to dance shows. It's not that film. It would have brought the credibility of the film from here to here. But what I did was I went to 3 or 4 very important interviews and spoke about geopolitics.
Right.
Because I wanted my audience to understand that I know what is happening in the world, which is why I'm playing this character.
You mean the interviews to news channels?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
And we left it at that. For me, my director is my most important person in my life.
Right.
If my director has faith in my processes, then no one else matters.
Right.
I asked my director, I ran everything by Shivam. I said, Shivam, this is what I'm doing. Do you trust my process? Do you trust my process? And thankfully, I would hope that Shivam and I work together on not one, two, but many other
Yes.
films, because we understand each other's spaces, we trust each other, and that's why The Diplomat has worked, because of the credibility of the film. Honestly, if I ask you, Gauri, did you have faith in this film? Or did you have any opinion on this film? You said, no, I had no expectation when I went and saw it. Right, Gayatri? You said, I had no expectation, which is why it worked for you, because when you went in, like, whoa, wow, this is fantastic.
Yeah. In my case, I make it a point not to watch the trailer also.
Wow.
Even though it's part of journalism and all, but I still prefer watching a movie as a lay
But
audience
that's
first.
brilliant.
I just don't like knowing anything beforehand.
No, that's brilliant. That's
So zero expectations always helps.
helps.
And in this case, it did help a lot.
In this case, it did.
Yeah.
So very happy. I'm very happy with the outcome right now.
Yeah.
Great date we released on. It doesn't matter what date we released on. People have this thing of dates.
Okay. Do you believe in any such things?
Okay, so I have released films, and I thought I was very good at all these dates. I released my one film on demonetization day, one film on the 26/7 floods day, one film on the second wave of COVID, one film 1 week after RRR, you name it, I've released all my films on wrong
So
days.
just tell me what happened at that time. How much did it affect your film's viewership?
It did.
It did.
Yeah. It does affect. I don't want to be smart about it and say it didn't affect.
Yeah.
It does make a difference to the
But
collection
since
of
it was already decided, you had to?
Yeah, since it was already decided,
Yeah.
you've marketed the film, you decide to release it. Now, no one knows that a second wave of COVID is going to hit. No one knows that Mr. Modi is going to have a demonetization on
You're
that day.
right.
So, no one knows that there's going to be a cloudburst and there are going to be floods. So, there are certain things that are out of your control. But when it was in my control, also I released on wrong dates. So,
Like as in?
why would you release a film 1 week after RRR? Why would, so there are things that, were beyond my control, let's say in those days.
Okay.
So I let it be.
Okay.
This release date, I'm happy to say that I had a very small part to play in it.
Yeah.
So I was okay, aap log release karo.
It seems to have come in the right time.
Right time. So I said, whatever you guys decide, I'm good with it.
So John, you had several challenges, especially as an independent producer, and you started with Vicky Donor, correct?
Correct.
And that was again a very different film,
Yeah.
which really did well.
Yeah.
It was a funny film, which was fantastic.
It's a path-breaking film in its time.
Path-breaking
Yeah.
again, and it requires courage to back such subjects.
Yeah.
What makes you back them as a producer?
I think there's a saying in management. I've done my MBA. There's a saying in management, the higher the risk, the greater the profit. And I always believe that you must have the guts to take risks. Like people flaunt about the successes they've had. I flaunt about the failures I've had. And I say, listen, I took this risk. I took this risk. I took this risk. Imagine at the start of my career, not many people know this, Gayatri, but when I was shooting Dhoom, I was shooting water at the same time.
Wow.
Same time.
Wow.
So on a
Yeah.
schedule between Dhoom,
Yeah.
I was shooting water.
Right.
One film went on to become a cult film in India. The other film did not even run one show in India.
Yeah.
But Water went on to be nominated for the Academy Awards for the best foreign film.
Yeah.
So you never know what life has to offer you.
Right.
So
Right.
I think you must take a risk.
Right.
You must believe in your stories.
Yeah.
And so what if it doesn't work in a particular territory? It will work somewhere else, which is
Right.
what happened with Water.
Yeah. Do you remember any from your initial days? While there has been failure, as you say, what are the magic moments that you were a part of? Any particular, maybe 2 or 3 movies or scenes that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, so I'll tell you something very interesting. After Water, I went to the Academy Awards with Water. So I was
Yeah.
in the Academy Awards. And I had the honor of meeting Charlize Theron and Steven Spielberg, and they were talking to me. And Charlize Theron said there was a shot by the lake, and what were the processes you were going through. And she was, as an actor, she was trying to understand because she loved my performance
Right.
in the film. And Steven Spielberg said, you're such a wonderful actor because of your subtleties. Now, at the same time, when he said that, in India, my subtlety seemed like it was underacting.
Yeah.
Because Hollywood was so progressive that they looked at the nuances in my performance, whereas India felt that you need to be loud to be considered a good actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I bore the brunt of it in India. But they said, yaar, kya yaar, itna subtle hai yaar, itna subtle hai yaar, kuch over nahi kar raha hai. Whereas here I was appreciated. But I understood that this is not my market. This is my market. So I tried to mold myself according to this market. And I said, either I overact and behave weird, or I stayed true to my DNA.
Yeah.
Stayed true. So I started choosing subjects that would help me in my subtleties.
Yeah.
And those films like Taxi 911 or
Yeah, that's one of
Zinda
my
or
favorites.
Kabul Express or
No
Madras
Smoking.
Cafe, No Smoking, suddenly the people who saw it later, when the audiences changed, they went back to those films and said, oh man, your performance was
Yes.
really good.
Yes.
But if you now go back and
Yeah.
rewind and you look at how I was reviewed
Yeah.
for those performances, I was
Right.
hammered. I was hammered every day. So
How did you take that at that point? Right in the beginning.
Yeah, initially it broke me. I felt really bad. I felt that why are they attacking me? Because I've done an honest job is what I said. Some people, in those days, some people offered me a film I refused to do their film. They got upset, so there were certain reviews. And I don't blame them because they've all retired now. Some people, colleagues criticized me. It went on, but I just kept quiet. I put my head down and I said, hey, listen, I want to become a producer. I want to become a producer because now I want to make the films I want to make. And that's when I made the Wiki Donors and the Madras Cafes and the Batla Houses and the Parmanus and the Attacks, which I loved, and the Diplomats and a Malayalam film and a Marathi film. So I started making the kind of films I really want to make.
Okay.
Now today, my craft, the nuances, the subtleties, people appreciate that. People say, wow, this is great. This is the way you need to perform. So the audience has changed. John Abraham is, of course, he's learning with every film. He's trying to improve.
Right.
But the audience has also changed. And why is the audience changed? Because they're exposed to platforms. And they're seeing performances in films that are so subtle, nuanced, that they appreciate what I'm doing now in a Diplomat.
Yeah. Correct. But did it bother you, John, and does it still bother you that people are surprised to see you as an actor more than a star?
It amuses me because I think it's important to be a star. If you want commercial appeal, it's important to be a star. But to be considered an actor, and for me, like I tell everybody, the Diplomat has given me that quantum leap where people are like, wow, what a performance, you have arrived. I must have thought I've arrived 10 films ago or 15 films ago, but they think you arrived.
Tell me the turning point of the film that became a turning point where you felt that you had arrived.
Very honestly, I thought I was very good in no smoking.
Yes.
I thought it was brilliant.
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
But then what happens with an actor? Let me explain to you.
Yeah.
We also end up doing. You take 3 steps forward. You do a bad film. You take 4 steps back. So when a bad film comes, you get critiqued and you take 4 steps back. Then again, you have to do a good film to go 2 steps forward.
Of course.
But the turning point actually came way later when I became a producer. When the Madras Cafes and the Parmanus and the Batla Houses and now the Diplomat has come out. I think Diplomat is a career best.
Yeah.
So the respect that I've got from a Diplomat is here.
Yeah.
I said this, Ajay Bijli called me, the owner of PVR.
Okay.
He saw the Diplomat with his wife and his child and he's saying, this is the best film I've seen in the past 5 years. He's saying, what a film.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to change the programming around this because India needs to see a film like this.
Right.
And he said, thank you, John. More power to you. Make more films like this.
Yeah.
So for me, that's complimentary. When you tell me that you've appreciated the film, when a theatre owner tells me, he sees films in and out, he appreciates it. When a window teller, when you went and he says, John Abraham ne acha kaam kiya hai. Now he doesn't know me. That is your biggest reward. Then when you see some critic who probably is really upset, maybe he or she's not had a good day at home, you understand. You understand and you forgive it because the majority, my audience has loved it.
Okay. So John, these days the industry, there's a lot of talk about the industry going through a bad time.
Yeah.
And we are seeing a lot of remakes, re-releases.
Yeah.
It seems as if there is nothing original to make except for the Diplomat here and there. And of course Superboys of Malayalam, which was a fantastic film, but it had a very small audience.
Correct.
What do you think about this phase that the industry is going through? And we are all accustomed to hearing things, complaints, stars are asking for more money, but how about coming up with real doable solutions that can be applied, solutions that can take us from here to back to a little bit of what was there in magic in cinema, or to get the audiences back?
Yeah. So to get the magic in cinema back, first of all, I think you're correct. I'll tell you why re-releases are happening. It's because there's no original content that's working.
Right.
Why is no original content working? Because we're not concentrating on the content.
Yeah.
You go into a restaurant, what is the most important thing? The food.
Yes.
Who makes the food? The chef.
Yeah.
If your chef is not good and your food is not great, who will visit your restaurant? No one will. So I think it's important to go back to creating content. And because we are not doing that and we are still making proposals and not films, re-releases are working. Am I a campaigner for re-releases? No. But let me give you a case in point. I told you about audiences changing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I said the same audience There was another audience that criticized me. Today, this audience is saying, wow, what performances.
Yeah.
Sanam Teri Kasam didn't work when it released. In the re-release, why did it work?
Yeah.
The audience changed. The film didn't. It's the same film.
Yeah. Yeah.
The audience changed.
Yeah.
The audience saw merit in this film.
Right.
So I feel, am I a campaigner for re-releases? No. But cinema halls have to work. And they're saying, listen, please re-release your films on these days because that's a sustainable financial model for us. And they're correct in their space. Producer to re-release his film is great because he makes more money. But if we start making great original content, then why would anyone want to see a re-released film?
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, go back to the basics. Like you said, the magic of cinema comes from what? From the writing.
Right.
Go back to basics, concentrate on writing, get the writing right, which is what you do. You write, get a fantastic director, work on a cast around the film, not a cast that is high on influencers, not a cast that is going to give you the, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, Instagram reels और सब कुछ जो होता है ना आज के तारीख में. Not any of this. An honest cast. And you can make films like The Diplomat very easily.
Yeah. You know, since the audience has changed, today's audience is also very much into OTT.
Yes.
You know, there is global, they have exposure to the global
Absolutely.
Content. You have not been very visible on the OTT scene.
Yeah.
And is there a reason for that?
I mean, very honestly, I look at myself as a big screen hero.
Yeah.
But never say never.
Yeah.
I think OTT is a blessing. Because OTT has come, if you want to come in cinemas, you need to up your game. If you don't up your game, you're finito. It's over and done. So I think OTT is a blessing. There is a place for OTT. There is a place for actors who want to come on OTT. I have not thought about it. I have nothing against it. I in fact love the content on OTT. But I still feel there's space for special films that have a cinematic experience where audiences can come in there. And I would want people to see John Abraham there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, tomorrow maybe my film will come on OTT directly. Maybe I think it will merit an OTT release. I do not know. But today I'd like to see a film coming on the big screen of mine.
Yeah, of course. John, you've often spoken about this, term very few actors use called equity. So, you should have a certain equity of your own,
Correct.
your own credibility or your brand value.
Yeah.
How do you perceive yourself and how would you like to be perceived?
I think you have to first be perceived the way, in a way of what you stand for. Like there are certain values that I stand for. Like I've said this before, like for example, and this is nothing towards any other actor, I'm talking about myself. Like I won't endorse pan masala, for example.
Yeah.
It's a value I stand for. For any amount of money, I will not endorse something that's killing other people.
Yeah.
But it's a value I stand for. Am I pointing a finger at someone else? No. My implication also is not that. I would not endorse alcohol. But there's certain values I would not endorse, say, betting.
Right.
But these are values I stand for. So I think your equity is built around the films you do, the causes you stand for, and the brands you endorse.
Right.
These three.
Yeah.
The films I'm trying to do as a producer, as an actor, I hope are credible. You know, the causes I stand for animal causes, the voice for the voiceless, and I really scream out loud for
Part
it.
of PETA, right?
Absolutely, and across the board, all NGOs, I support anybody who supports animals. And the brands you endorse, you know. So the brands you endorse also a very important part of it. Would I pick up any brand? Maybe the answer is no. Maybe do I pick up the best brands? Maybe the answer is no. I'm not saying what I'm doing is right. All I'm saying is it is right for me.
Yeah.
I'm not judging anybody else. These are things that are right for me. And I stand for fitness, which is very important in my life.
Yes.
I
Which inspires the youth.
Yeah, I still remember when I did Pathan, I went to Spain and I was sitting with Siddharth Anand and Shah Rukh and I was having food and I honestly didn't know. Gayatri, honestly didn't know. Sid said, and you must ask Sid this. He said, John, tomorrow I'm putting you bare body in a pool and that's going to be your shot. I'm like, Sid, but I just landed on a flight. I can't do a bare body.
Yeah.
And he said, no, you'll manage. I said, I need some time. But the next morning I had to shoot. So that getting out of that pool shot happened the next morning.
Okay. Wouldn't believe it that you were worried about it. Or
I was because I knew I could be 20% better in that shot.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for me.
Yeah,
but
of course.
For an audience, they enjoyed it. But for me, so you have to be ready
Yeah.
all the time, which is why
Yeah.
fitness is very important
Yes,
for me.
yes.
So these are values you stand for. So when you
Right.
ask people, what does John Abraham stand for? They say, oh, he loves motorcycles. Oh, he loves fitness. Oh, he loves football. I have a football team, Northeast United FC, that belongs to the Northeast. But John Abraham also stands for, as a producer, making sensible films like The Diplomat, like Madras Cafe, like Parmanu, like Batlav. So suddenly there's a huge perception shift from just being a star to also being a performer, which is very, very important.
Right.
Yeah.
John, you are also part Malayali, and what do you think about the Malayalam industry, and how can we not ape it, but what are the things that we can use to bring to our Hindi film industry?
Yeah, I'm a very proud half Mallu.
Yes. Please say something in Mallu, no?
Eniki chudu chamano.
What did that mean?
I really want hot tea, right? My director saying, yeah.
तो
So,
गाली दे देंगे तो पर समझ में नहीं आएगा.
so
But how often do you speak Malayalam?
I speak very little Malayalam because
Okay.
I've been born and brought up in
Yeah, of
Bombay. My mother's a Zoroastrian.
Yeah.
So,
पारसी में कुछ का
मैंने
पारसी में
बद्दू
कुछ
आवेश,
कुछ
मैंने
बोलो.
गुजराती आवेश बराबरी थे.
नवरोज मुबारक सेलिब्रेट
Thank
करूँ.
you. Yeah. Oh my God, you speak good.
Belated मुझे नवरोज
Thank you.
मुबारक.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, I think Malayalam industry is brave. And I think actors like Prithviraj, Saubin, Tovino, Mammootty, Mohanlal, you mentioned any Malayali actor, they really believe in their craft. And I think we need to go back to believing in our craft and concentrating on our writing. And they're very brave with their choices. You
Yeah.
know, we need to be braver. But the region also is very progressive. They get it. Our region still has to get it. So it'll take us a little time, but we need to give them good cinema. If we give them good cinema, they will get it. So I think I have a writer's room there.
Yeah.
They're writing scripts. Obviously, they're writing scripts with different ideas that are meant for our region.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what next now?
I have Tehran.
Yeah.
It's a film, I don't know when it's releasing. It's been produced by Dinu Vijayan.
Okay.
And I'm very excited about it.
Okay.
I think we're about 10-15 days away from totally cleaning it up and being practically ready, maybe 2-3 weeks.
Okay.
And then we'll decide on a release date.
That's fantastic.
And then nothing else after that as of now.
So I'm sure it's back to bikes. And how many bikes do you have?
Now I have hardly 2-3, but I upgrade my motorcycle. So
Yeah.
at one point I had 31.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay, you were a
yeah.
collector then.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
love motorcycles.
But now there is a side to you which is also minimal. From what I've seen of your house in Asian Paints
yeah.
video.
My brother and my father designed, and my cousin sister, they're all architects.
Yeah, right.
So they designed that house.
Right.
It's beautiful. It won the award for the best residential home in the Indian Institute of Architectural Design. And I mean, everybody just raved about that home. But yeah, I want to do some, I want my brother and my dad and all of us to do some great architectural work because I have a lot. That's also a creative process.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
so you
there-
have a
yeah.
huge creative side.
Yeah, so I love that process, and I'll probably get down to doing something in my office that's creatively very good looking.
We need to learn a little about time management
Yeah.
from you because you have kind of managed to live your life fully with so many passions in your life.
Yeah.
And John, talking about equity, the word that comes to my mind for you is braveheart.
Oh, wow.
You've been brave in kind of cinema that you keep releasing in today's world also.
Thank you.
And you are continuing and
Thank you, Gayatri. Thank you.
I wish you all the best in
Thank
your
you.
future
It was a
ventures.
pleasure talking to you. Really,
Pleasure
genuinely.
to talking to you also,
Thank
John.
you. Thank you.